considero flexible, etc. Mais je vous continue, vous faites des marketing, vous cherchez des mots.
والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المخلوقين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I would like to welcome the audience in this really important conference. I am of course very happy to be here with you and thank the organizing committee for inviting me because believe me this day is a very special day, not only because it's the Insan Forum, but because it's the first time the conference will be held completely and entirely in English. It will be around the theme of physical restructuring. Are we witnessing a techno-economic momentum? And of course, when you talk about physical restructuring, here it's a matter of industrial emergence, which will project us back to 2008, exactly in August, when King Mohammed VI, may Allah glorify, drew in prospect or traced the road to follow to strengthen our economic and social benefits. Of course, he said in his speech, I will say it verbatim, beyond the consolidation of the Moroccan company and encouraging industrial investments carrying value, the strategy would be intended to pave the way to the Moroccan economy so it can expand into new industry niches using innovative technologies. And here we can feel that the key word here is innovation. And of course, when you talk about innovation, it's inevitable to talk about risk taking. There's a lot of pessimistic people who will talk about failure that follows innovation, but we have to all the time be optimistic. We learn from our failures, and there is no way to escape innovation, because we know without innovation there will be no survival in this industry, which is demanding and challenging and competitive. As I have said in my poem that I have dedicated to my dear Gatzers, I said that, I'll just check, yeah, it's here. I said, targeting opportunities, conquest and innovation stimulation, needing courageous, daring engineers of a new generation, thinking of ingenious ideas, taking a risky initiative in a merciless market, being continuously competitive. So because of this competitiveness, we need innovation in order to survive. And in order to illustrate my idea rapidly, I will give you an example. A very simple example that is familiar to every one of us. When I was young, when I was your age, I was listening to music using cassettes, magnetic tapes, and I have no idea at that time that some years after that we will be using very tiny MP3 readers or flash drives or whatever, and this is the evolution of technology that is unexpected. That's why we have to innovate. I can give you the example of the German industry, Alpha, for example, which was producing cassettes and so on. They all take care to widespread their products all over the world but didn't think of innovating. And the result is that they are wiped out now of the market. So innovation is a key word here. It's very important to innovate. And now I will just say, in order to conclude, we have to, to render. This is a biblical saying, to render unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. So I leave the floor to the specialists now to talk about the theme and to give you more details about here, starting with Mr. Lagidi, that I would like to introduce to the audience. Mr. Amin Lagidi. Give me just time to read in English, okay? He is Director General of the North Star Group, one speaker template, initiator of the concept Cognitive Morocco Hub for Africa, third cycle professor at HEM, and also representative and speaker of Africa and Morocco at the World Congress of Mines in the USA. So the floor is yours, Mr. Lagidi. You're welcome. And just last word, please. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome our professors that are here with us today for their willingness to come and share their knowledge and share their experience with us. There is just, we will wait for William. He will be the last one to deliver. So we'll start with Mr. Amin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear friend and doctor. Thank you for the warm welcoming, first of all. Thank you also for the kind introduction. Well, as you said, actually, today is a pretty interesting time for me too. This is my first conference fully in English in Morocco. So thank you for being here as a public, because without you, we couldn't do it. And seriously, thanks also for the committee, because without their initiative, and initiative, it's an innovation by itself, by the way. It's real innovation. They took a risk. Absolutely, this is an innovation. This is a new way of doing things. This is actually a step ahead. So really, actually strong applause to the committee that have been organizing that. Seriously. Last time that I gave a conference in English, this was more than 1 year ago. That's just incredible. It was actually in the US. That was the Moroccan, I was having the great honor of representing Morocco and Africa to the World Mining Congress, and I was the youngest ever. I was expecting actually my conference room to be completely empty, because I was competing with high nations such as Russia, India, that have actually long traditions in terms actually of mining, and the people that were representing them were heads of big multinationals, were also ministers, prime ministers for some. To my big surprise, the room was full. Real full, and I'm talking about what we call VIP2 events. So if you are just crossing by somebody in the corridor or something, that might be a minister or general manager of a company. So that's not for me, because I'm an anonymous person, but that shows that people are interested into Africa, and people are interested into Morocco as a hub for Africa. So that was an image that I wanted to share with you. Now let's get back to our presentation. I hope that you will excuse my English. It has a little American accent, so in case I need to repeat something, please just let me know. Before talking about industrialization, and when we had the kind of discussion with the doctor and Mr. Mu'tasim, prior actually to this panel, we had the thoughts. Is industrialization still a symbol or synonym of development? What type of development are we talking about? And what world are we talking about? Because as you all know, the world that you know is not your father's, it's not your mother's, and definitely not your grandparents' actually world. The world has changed a lot. Well, you can always tell me that the world have always been changing. But the change since the 90s have been just radical. And let me illustrate some points actually that are highlighted. First of all, we all know that the fall of the wall of Berlin have changed the paradigm of strategy. Not just in terms actually of spies that didn't find any jobs anymore. It was also about the revolution actually of the internet. We came from a world where the information was just something rare, where the access to information was accessing power. The people that had the information, had the capacity to get the right information, to filtrate the right information from the wrong information, were the ones that had powers, the field agents. With the internet revolution, we came into a new world where we are becoming flooded with the information. I love actually the metaphor with the water. Those of you that have made me already the honor of being to one of my presentations or speeches know that I love this metaphor. Classically, I would say that before actually the 90s and before actually the darkness became an internet, we were talking somehow about a world where we were thirsty. It's like being somehow in the, in the middle of the desert. The middle of the desert, the ones that got the water got the power. That's normal. Automatically. And without informing anyone, we became in a real world where we are flooded with information. Whole thing. So when you are flooded with information, the main and the key thing that you need to learn to do is first of all how to survive. How to float on the top of this information. How to get to have and build a global overview to not be submerged by information. And what information should I use? What information should not be used, etc. So that's the world where you are living today. We are shifting from a paradigm where there was actually, where access to information was rare, to a world where analyzing the information and having enough overview to use the right information in the right moment is becoming the strategic shift. That's a one. Second, we live in a world where classically actually all structural and functional barriers have been destructed. Classically, if I was actually in the middle of, we are in the Knesset. That's the capital actually of Mulay Ismail, great king, right?
Yeah.
If Mulay Ismail, for example, would have wanted to send a missive, let's say just gifts from Morocco, let's say to the king of France to ask him actually to wed his daughter, you know about the story, right? This missive would have taken years or almost a year to arrive. The risk would have been huge because the roads were not secured, because of the events actually of the environment, etc. Today, we have closed this risk. Today, the logistic risk doesn't exist anymore. Today, I can export anything almost from the port of Tangier to any part of the world. And by the way, I always actually love to congratulate the Tangier folks who are friends and the business partners for the great job that they have done. Today, we are having actually the most connected port in the world. If I take into consideration that somehow 90% of the world international trade is made by maritime, we have a strategic advantage over all our competitors over here, just thanks to the port of Tangier. So I said about the logistics point, or the logistics barrier that we have been solving. Second element, if you wanted actually, for example, let's say that the same missive that have been sent by King Mulay Ismail to the prince had some problems in the road. They need money. There was no banks. There was no wiring. I couldn't just go to Western Union and say them, you know what, send my guys actually some money in Spain. Send my ambassador some money, because he's in Spain and he doesn't have cash anymore. Today we have solved this problem too, which is actually the financial issue, the parity issue, etc. I don't want to go into details into the financial aspect. And the third actually element and barrier was the information barrier. And as we said, even that one had been shifted. Classically, if I'm a producer, for example, or if I am a manufacturer of silk, harir, and I wanted to import, my biggest worry was to secure actually my supply chain. And mainly on the upstream, on the raw materials. Who produces actually the silk, when it is produced, to what cost? I didn't have this information in the past. And I even didn't control my market. What do they need? How will they how much actually are they ready to pay for it? How can we actually use it, etc. And even then, today we are able to secure it. So you are living in a world where there is almost, and I say almost, no limit to the super capitalism, except itself. I will be coming to this point actually later on. No limits. When I'm speaking about capitalism for a long, long time, we were speaking about two kinds of countries. Countries that are developed, and countries that were underdeveloped. And of course, we love actually to put, some kind of leading countries that are going from the level of underdeveloped to the level of developed. Isn't it? But let's think together, please. Let's not outsource this function of thinking. Because usually what we do is that we use words that are around us that we read in the internet, that we read in the magazines, that we read in the books, but we don't think. We use them automatically. Is it really true that today development is still synonym of industrialization? And is it really true that industrialization is the same one that started actually with the invention of James Watt of the steam machine? If I want to attack the first point, I would say, let us see actually the big countries, isn't it? The other ones are already developed. Let's see if industrialization still means the same at their level. And I can see strongly that there is two paradigms here. There is more and more impression that there is diversity of products and of services. If you go and talk to your grandmother, like Liarico, and ask her about her idea if there is more diversity in the products or not, of course she will tell you yes. She will tell you that back then, actually, at the little actually shop in the neighborhood, you will find one or two products, and that's it. And if you wanted more diversity, you had to go actually to Chanel, because there was actually the things that were coming from Septa, etc. Today, for each reference, you will have hundreds, or at least actually tens, of products that are at your disposal. And we have the impression, or the fake impression, that there is diversity in terms of production, that there is diversity in terms of offer. But in reality, it is really the case. When I look at the ones that are producing those ones, I see that there is a concentration in the means of production. There is no more small companies, or less and less actually small industries. There is big industries that are concentrating everything at their level. And even these big industries somehow are getting more concentrated on another level because they are all controlled by the same owners, the same stakeholders, the same shareholders, and the same financial institutions and hedge funds. And guess what? We have the impression that there is more diversity, while there is a true concentration on this side of all the means of production. Of course, to each action there is a reaction. On the other side, there is more and more concentration on the consumption. And you see today that most of the goods that you have the impression of buying directly have been already bought in one way or another by centralizing agencies, centralizing the industry and making it bigger and owned by few number of people, and on the other, I'm centralizing all the consumption. Between them, I'm also massifying logistics. And among them, I'm massifying the marketing. Today, we are formatting you. Today, we are working on the last barrier, because we closed it, as you remember. The first barrier that was the logistics, the second one that was the financial, third one that was the information, and today, I have the great pleasure to tell you that you are being formatted. Pleasure actually is between brackets. Let's begin and being sarcastic. Today, we are playing on the last variable, which is your values. Because your values are what implies actually automatically on your consumption, are the key factor that is actually applying on consumption. And that's what is happening today in the world. We are creating world-class consumers. Welcome to the new world. So that's about the paradigm of industrialization and the chip that is known. In terms of development, when I see again, and I look at those developed nations, I see that they are investing more and more into the goodwill, le haut du bilan. They are investing more and more into research and development and into marketing. And when I take actually an example, let's say Zara, for example, the world leader in terms of textile. We all know Zara, right? Spanish company, its owner have been among the top richest people in the world, isn't it? Zara today, they don't have any industry. They only do marketing, some kind of innovation, and that's it. You will tell me distribution, I will tell you that's also part of the marketing process. When I look about to other actually companies, even in the oil and gas business, even in the chemical business, you will see that they are only doing research and development and marketing again. But who is doing the industry for them? They are outsourcing. Outsourcing to countries and that are actually fighting and giving actually lowering back actually all their abilities and all their barriers in order to try to attract foreign investments. And they are happy to attract foreign investments. Well, we are happy to attract foreign investments, but we don't think anymore about what return on investment are we interested in. So, when I see the fast developed countries, and we all know that capitalism is about taking a step ahead from the one that is behind you, are investing into marketing, into research and development, I can only think about a new concept that is called cognitive economy, a concept that is under restructuration and redefinition. If you just Google it, I love actually to Google things before conferences, not to build a conference, but to see what people think about the concept. Because today, what we find in Google exists, what we don't find in Google doesn't exist. Today, the definition that is given in the first page of Wikipedia is the right one, and the one that is not given by Wikipedia is the wrong one. That's the new hegemony that we are having today. It's another subject. So cognitive economy is what, in fine? Cognitive economy is a combination between all factors that are where we can add value throughout human beings. So that's research and development, that's engineering, that's consulting, that's marketing, that's communication in all its means, that's financial also, that's architecture and some other elements. And the common point between actually all those activities are what? They are you. That's the human being. That's the human capital. So it's just so funny to see how the capitalism that have destroyed actually the human identity to make it actually just a mean of production for years and years, and then just a mean of production but also of consumption for years and years, today is rehabilitating the importance of human beings in its center. And here I would like to give you a message. The beauty of capitalism is that it's not rigid. It's flexible as a system. But it's a system where if you have enough value added, you can understand that by succeeding in the capitalism, you can apply your own values. So here I can make the link with what I said yesterday. If you are integrating a big multinational, and if you are really successful, and if you are actually interested in human beings or environment, etc., your values will be the core values of the group, because you are influencing a group of people from the inside. If you are creating a company and you succeed, and you, for example, you respect the environment and the ecological aspects, everybody will be trying actually to succeed the same way, and they will be incorporating your values. So that's the beauty of capitalism. Because I'm a strategy man, I'm from the business world. In the business world, first thing that we learn is about adding value. If I'm talking to you, I will add value to you and to myself by creating superior value. A real strategy maker is the one that doesn't go into conflict with anybody. We accept the situation as it is, until we are able to change it positively. That's the difference between us and the confrontationists. I would like actually to give you here a little image that I'm sure that you will understand and get. We can see a big fortress, and we don't like what is happening in the fortress. And we decide to go outside the wall and start throwing tomatoes on the fortress. Would it change anything? Definitely not. But if anybody shoots at us, we will be a martyr, and we will be happy, because we have the feeling that we did something. But in reality, did we really do something? While if you have the courage to succeed within and inside the fortress, and make it change to the interest of the people that are inside, but also outside, wouldn't it be creating more values to you and to the community around? Just think about it. When I'm speaking about cognitive economy, classically, all the countries that were ongoing actually process of development didn't think about it, because they were saying, okay, hell, how am I going actually to fund all this? How am I going actually to have research and development facilities? Whenever we talk about research and development in our country and in the developed world, the same questions will arise. We don't have the money, nobody talks to us, nobody is ready to finance us, and they start whining. And that's a long actually process. But when I look at a very interesting model that I would like to share with you to shock you. I will use actually this example to shock, because when we shock therapy, we don't forget the examples. You all know about the war, the Israeli-Arabian wars, right? After General Abdel Nasser has lost the war, he has actually undertaken a very interesting strategy. It was called Harb al-Istinzaf. What does it mean? You try to keep the enemy, at that time actually it was Israel for him, ahead and alert on all its fields, on all its frontiers. When the Israeli soldiers are all around the frontier, this means actually more money that is spent, but this means that there is nobody to make the research and development, there is nobody to run the economy, but nobody to work in the universities, nobody actually to study in the universities, nobody also even actually to work in the factories, so the economy was going bankrupt. And let's not forget, we are talking about Israel, which is actually leading model today in terms of technology. What did they do? They just thought about it differently. They said, okay, we have two choices now. Either we stop all our weapon systems and weapon technology, and remember, all actually high technological projects have been developed by the security and by the defense industry all around the world. So they said, okay, it's either we abandon that and we depend 100% on the help of the Americans, and this means actually we are not so brave anymore, but that was a choice, or we found another solution. They found a solution. What was it? A shift ahead. So they want, for example, to develop a missile system. Back then, $1 million could have done paid actually for the technology. Instead of finding how to fund that, they thought ahead. This technology that will be helping us for something like 5 years, we can export it after that to some 3-4 countries and make some $30 million. So they started thinking about exporting, not just about importing. And that's what made the strategic shift in their thinking. There's two types actually of countries. There is the countries that think as leaders and there is the ones that think as followers. That's it. It's about mindsets and then follows the management. If today you think about exporters of technology, of know-how, innovation, you can become actually an exporter of technology, know-how, and innovation. I will give you a really basic example. We will be exporting the same technology to 3 or to 4 countries. We bought it for 5 million euros, we made more than 50 million euros. And we don't have just that to be paying for. It's just about, and we can even add value to this nation because they don't have. The beauty of Morocco is that we developed a model somehow by thinking, somehow also accidentally on some points, but a very successful model. Because that's exactly what the world and the region needs right now. What are the specificities of this model? First of all, sustainability. Durability. Sustainability wasn't a choice for Morocco for the simple reason that we are importing our oil and gas. As easy as that. So when we were developing anything, we were thinking about the consumption of the raw material, we were talking also about the long run of the project. And because we have limited financial resources. We can't afford every 5-10 years to rebuild the same actually infrastructure. So we had to build infrastructure that can last for a long time and run. We had to build actually infrastructures with green engineering that takes into consideration the